Are live. Awesome. Welcome to Inside the Squat Rack. Episode 6 is 27th of January, 2025. Tonight's guest, hey Frank, Crystal Levesque from Crystal Loves Moto. Pretty pumped about that. Let's give her a call and see if she picks up. You know the game. Come on. It takes time. Where's she at? Oh, look at that. Accept. Wave, wave.
Oh, I am in. Hi.
Hey, you're there. You made
See
it.
me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, the service seems a little slow, but if you can see me, we're good.
Yeah. We'll make it work. Let me get set here. Crystal Levesque,
Levesque.
the one and only. Like Levesque. Hide your dads. It's
How's your dad?
Crystal Levesque. That's right.
Lock up your dad.
How's life on the West Coast?
It's good. We got the sun is shining. There's no rain. There's no snow yet. It's great.
Oh man, we're getting. I couldn't be farther away from you and in the same country.
I was gonna say yours is good, huh? It's just snow.
It's snow, rain, warms up, melts, gets cold again. It's garbage weather, really, this time of year in Nova Scotia. But
we're gonna move to
well, we usually put the studs on the bike and ride and spend more time in the gym.
Yeah, true enough.
Yeah. Thank you, first of all, for taking time to chat with me today.
Yeah.
I know we've been kind of going back and forth with this for a little while, but I'm really stoked it worked out. If you just give me a second to explain to the folks that are watching what it is we're doing.
Yeah.
This is Inside the Squat Rack. It's a series that I've been running throughout the winter this year, and it's just a series of chats and talks with people, athletes, racers, riders from all across the dirt biking scene, from pro all the way down to novice. And what we're trying to do is really just capture people's perspective and their lessons and experiences that they've had in fitness in relation to dirt biking. You know, my name's Steve McGill, by the way, and I'm an athletic development coach, fitness coach, mobility specialist.
That's your name. I didn't know your name. I'm just kidding.
A lot of people don't. I'm just trash moto to most people. But yeah, the fitness is everything to me. Fitness and dirt bikes, it's my thing. I've created my life around it, but I think it's really important to hear everyone else's perspective, especially people like you. You know, you've been in the game a long time. Fitness, I can tell, is important to you. And you've also got some really big goals set out for yourself for this year that you're already out there getting after and putting the work in, which is really impressive and inspirational to a lot of people. So, first of all, thank you for just taking the time to chat with me.
Yeah, dude, I live for this. So I'm really glad that we could connect. My schedule's been all over the place, as you know, and we're 3 hours apart, so it makes it hard sometimes. But we live very similar lifestyles, so I'm pretty stoked to chat about it with you. I even took notes. I never take notes, but you know, I'm pretty serious about this today. I
feel honored. That's the special treatment, taking notes.
I've got another phone with notes on it here, okay?
Oh boy. I would try to capture your.
We just gotta say hi to his dad. It's in the comments, you know.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey,
hi to
what's
all
up?
the dads.
Hey to all the dads.
We see you.
I'll try to keep the jokes to a minimum. You know, you have an incredible. I would butcher your resume if I tried to cite it off, but the wave tops being total fucking badass. First of all, inspiration to women and everybody, really, especially younger women, which I think is really important. Athlete, rider, in the movies, teaching clinics. Like if it's on a dirt bike, you do it. You know, so I'm really excited to kind of pick away at your brain and see what your experiences have been kind of throughout your life around this, which is seemingly pretty incredible.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't get to talk about it often. I've done, I think, 2 podcasts, and I really don't do deep dives into my life. I basically just post kind of what I'm doing. So yeah, and I'm pretty stoked to do it.
Sick. So I also don't want to waste too much time. We got a bunch of stuff to cover.
Yeah.
So first awkward question, what's your age?
So I'm gonna be 41 at the end of February.
Okay.
Look at guys, I barely have any wrinkles.
Yeah.
41.
41. That's nothing. What would you remember or think about as like your first exposure into what would become your fitness journey? You know, whether that was kind of doing it as a kid or maybe having really athletic parents, all the way up to maybe like some people don't start into fitness until later in their life. So what would be kind of your first exposure?
So I'm high energy. I like came out of the womb just
No.
kickboxing and everything. No, I'm just, yeah. But I would say some of you may not know this, so it's going to be a little bit of a shocker, but I was pregnant at 16. I was very, very petite, always a very small kid, 104 pounds before I got pregnant. I had my son when I turned 17, and I was a whopping 174 pounds when I delivered. Most of that was water retention. We had some fat in there. But that was my first experience with obviously giving birth at a very young age and having this going from a teenage body to this crazy pregnancy in 9 months. The first thing I wanted to do was lose the weight, obviously. And back 23 years ago, you guys remember, it was all about like the Jenny Craigs and the power
Oh yeah.
drinks and don't
Yeah.
eat. And when I tell you, I have done every diet known to man,
Yeah.
especially being so young and still in school. And back then, it was all we cared about was how we looked, our bodies, being
Image.
slim. Yeah, and also when I was at age 17, muscles were not in for ladies. It was not a trending. We didn't even have social media, to be honest.
I know.
So
It's sad. Not the social media part, but the being skinny thing is sad.
yeah, and honestly, like I said, I was 104 pounds, 174 pounds when I delivered, and I got back to I think it was like around 120 pounds quite quickly. Not doing it a healthy way, just basically not eating enough and running my little heart out. Never picked up a weight those first few years. So I think that was my like entry into the fitness world, like getting my first membership and doing the ladies
Awesome.
classes, you know.
So you would have been like 18 or so?
17, like a few weeks
17?
after
Yep.
he was born. Your
Okay.
girl was hitting the gym.
Awesome. So not necessarily like, and I mean, many people don't get into fitness until their teens or their 20s. Not, I think a lot of people don't necessarily start sports or athletics as a kid, and you would fall into that category, kind of starting it well into your teens.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. When you first started into the gym, were you immediately kind of drawn to it, or was it a bit of a struggle in the beginning?
Yeah, I was highly motivated. Like I said, I've always been like, just super driven, and I think that's kind of what keeps me very grounded in everything I do is when I want something, I'm getting it. And I will do all the steps necessary to get there. And I don't really think about time. I just know it's going to happen. And if I want it to happen, I know it will. So I was pretty passionate about being fit, um, still being a teenager. So you could just imagine the drive I had to want to get my body back.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that's the direction you went with that as well. After childbirth, you know, there's many women out there that don't choose that route. They choose the alternate routes.
Yep.
I'm really stoked to hear that that's the route that you chose, and I would
Yeah.
encourage more people to choose that route over some of the alternatives.
Yeah, it's absolutely easy to get caught into that. I have no time, but
Right.
honestly, I work out with, I have 3 or 4 kids and they work full-time jobs. So it only takes an hour, you guys, to put yourselves first, 1 hour of the day. And over a course of years, take it from me
Yeah.
being 40, my body still feels 20 at times, besides my injuries once in a while, but I feel great every day.
Yeah. Awesome. Were your parents athletic by chance?
Yeah, so here's another thing. Like, we lead by example or we stray away from what we don't want to become. I have talked about this in the past. I grew up in a really tough household, single mom, bunch of kids. My mom never worked. We never ate fast food. We just ate the basic meals, which was probably a blessing now, like the meat, potato,
Yeah.
veggies. Um, and no, my mom was overweight. My sister was overweight. I lost my sister a few years ago to an illness as well, which really heightened my passion for fitness and health even more. Um,
Yeah.
in a healthy way, of course. But my brother is 1 year younger. He's ripped. He's pretty fit. He doesn't go to the gym. He's just naturally fit from work, I guess.
Okay. One of those
Yeah,
guys.
no, yeah, he's just one of those buff dudes. But yeah, no, my mom, she's pretty ill, and I recently just, you guys probably watched me. I meal prep for my mom, and I put her on a high
Yep.
protein diet. She was kind of borderline diabetic, and her last results came clear. She's lost 25 pounds since I've done all this for her.
Shit.
So she's
Nice.
61. She's 61 almost. So she's just starting her journey into wanting to do better for herself, and it's working.
That's amazing. I love hearing that. I love hearing the relationship between nutrition and disease. Really,
Yeah,
I could go. We could spend the entire conversation talking about how much I hate the current food industry,
same.
um, and how I think we should be eating versus what the grocery stores kind of offer to us.
Yeah.
But we'll save that for a different talk. I think it's definitely a point
That'll be that'll
that
be a lot.
yeah, yeah, we'll do a long chat about that. Um, how long have you been riding your dirt bike
So
or a motorcycle of any sort?
going on what 18 years now. Actually, quite well, not
18
like
years.
22. So yeah, 18 years.
Right. Um, and so you would have started that, you would have started dirt biking or motorcycle riding after you had already started in the gym, if my math is correct.
Yes.
Perfect. What made you get into motorcycling or dirt biking?
So the family life. So our son would have been what, 4 at the time. My son's father, super athletic. Baseball, played goalkeeper. They're introduced me to the other side of being going to the gym. Gave me once we had our son, we were always doing stuff. Our son played ball, soccer. We bought him a dirt bike. They bought me a dirt bike. I was not happy about it at first, and amazed to see kind of where I ended up with it all. I mean, my son's dad always laughs about it too. Like, I bought you this bike for your birthday. You hated it. It was kind of family ordeal at first, and now it turned into neither of them ride, and I have,
Right.
taken it to the extreme. So it's
Yeah, you
quite funny how
made it
life
your life.
works out. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
it is. That's incredible, though. That's a great
Yeah,
story.
yeah. So
We're
that's
all
their
happy
gift
that
to
you,
me. It's a big
yeah,
gift from them to.
it is. Yeah, and like you said earlier, you either imitate what you like or you push away what you don't like when you're
Yeah,
looking at influences and whatnot. And
yeah,
so if you think about that influence that you're leaving for your children and anyone else that is from the younger generation,
yep.
it's an incredible influence what you're doing.
Thank you.
Um, most of my clients throughout the years, I've been running Thrash Moto since 2020, and always over half of my clients are females,
Yeah,
and
that's awesome.
all of them know you,
Oh,
uh,
awesome.
because you're just such an inspiration, and you're very embedded in the scene. Um, what kind of like what genres or workout styles would you be doing right now? Would that be any of the like name brand kind of ones like Pilates or CrossFit or any of that? Or are you more traditional weightlifting kind of, or anywhere in between?
In
Could be combat sport, could be anything.
mostly shadow boxing.
Shadow
Just kidding.
boxing, yeah. Taibo,
Typo. You know what? I'm strictly weightlifting. So I think I'm going on, I want to say about 13 years, and we'll get into it later because I know it's on your questionnaire, but I was inspired by weights and like I love it. I love what it does for my body, love how it makes me feel. I've done Pilates, I've done everything, I've done HIIT. I don't like how it makes me feel. I get enough endurance and all that from being on the bike 4 days a week when it's good
right,
weather. So yeah, like I said, I just enjoy my typical splits, weightlifting.
right. Um, and how many like days per week or hours or minutes per session would that be for you?
So right now in the winter, I'm only riding once a week, if that, obviously. So I like to work out 5 days a week. I do three lower, so three leg days. I separate my muscle groups. So I'll do a solid glute day, and then I'll do like a back and bicep, and then I will do a glute and hamstring, and then I will do shoulder, chest, tricep, and then I will do a solid quad day. And in between there, I like 2 days off. So I really
Right.
like to work muscle group and get the most from my money.
Right. That's
That
right.
works
Get the
for
pump.
me. Yeah, I've seen great
Yeah.
growth. That's super easy. It's fits into my daily routine. 16 to 90 minutes just for my weights alone. I like to take my little. Depends on how heavy I'm lifting and how much I need to rest in between sets. 60 to
Right.
90 is pretty.
60 to 90. That's a
So,
good session.
yeah.
Um, do you mix it up in that 5 day plan with, are you adding in any like cardio sessions, mobility sessions, agility, any of those kind of stuff thrown in
Yeah.
there?
Yeah. So currently I've been kind of posting my daily workout in my story, just so you
Right.
guys can kind of have a look of what I do. I do a lot of mobility and foundational. I have to just because of my back injury. That's a whole nother topic, but I'm working around an injury, so I've had to adapt and cut out barbell movements and add mobility, stretching. I don't really do any crazy cardio. I walk. So I get my 10 to 12 K in no matter what. And in that will usually include a 30-minute finisher. Like I'll just walk after my weight session. But it just depends on my day if I want to be there 2 hours or not.
Sure. Of course. Um, what's your resource for like any of the mobility work or the accessory work that you're doing? You referenced your back, which I had seen in your posts and whatnot, but where do you go to get that kind of training or information?
So currently, I'm following PT's write-ups. I mean, I found a lot of stuff online, and actually, I have a book here, which is really great, which one of my other friends just pointed out to me the other day, but Eric Goodman, Foundational
Hmm.
Training. Um, but honestly, I stick to the same routines that I've been doing for years, and most of my movements have come from PT. You
Okay.
probably can't even see, but I'll leave it with like my leg crossed in a certain way and stretch it all day because of my injury. Um, but most of my mobility comes from my lower. I'm usually focused on lower, not so much upper.
Sure. Of course. Okay. Um, have you ever had any um, coaches, whether that's like a sports coach or even a PT or really just anyone that has really stood out or influenced you throughout your fitness journey? Any like notable names or honorable mentions, I guess, in the coaching world
Yeah.
or influence world to you?
He's not really like an influencer, but I started lifting at my old job like 12, 13 years ago when I started weightlifting. I used to go to a gym it was a men's powerlifting gym, super old equipment. For those of you that have followed me here for a long time, you probably remember that gym. It was like teal equipment, super rugged, like No women. I only ever saw one lady there. They had a women's side, and I would go there alone. Eventually, they closed the doors on the women's side, and I was forced to go to the dude's side.
They had
And that's when
a dedicated women's side.
yep, but there was only me ever. So it was just kind of a waste of money for the gym.
Private
And it was like
private
kind of
gym.
like in the wall, like a small, just a lot of like, there's a men's wrestling team there. So it was mostly men. So I could see how some women would be intimidated to hang out at a gym full of
Hmm.
heavyweights. But I started working out there. I met some of the best dudes ever into powerlifting, and they started helping me with like all my big compound movements, showing me big deadlifts, safe squats. And then I hired a coach out of there, Sandeep. This guy's just shredded. And during that time, he was a natural athlete. He's not anymore because he's just like even more shredded. But he just was he has my mindset. He's just no bullshit. You show up, you put in, if you're there for an hour, you work for an hour. No crying, no crying, get your sets done. And I really like it because I'm like, wow, this is like, it feels like I'm driving myself. I'm like coaching
Yeah.
myself, but I'm not. I don't even push myself as hard as he pushed me. So I really got a great experience on like truly putting in the work, you know?
What was his name?
Sandeep.
Sandy.
Yeah. So he's on my page too. And the dude's just so dedicated. Like I've never met anybody in my life that's as crazy as this dude. And
Mhm.
he actually trains a lot of people over 40,
Okay.
men that kind of have started out with like no frame at all, into these
Yeah.
crazy power. So yeah, and there was tons of guys in the gym that would help me out and assist with my squats. So when I left that job a few years ago, I moved to the current gym I'm at now. So I kind of lost touch with those dudes, but I felt like I went my hardest when I was there.
Yeah. It's amazing what an influence like that can do to your program, especially in my experience anyway, there's certain kind of, it's more kind of where you are at in a headspace.
Yeah,
When you meet the right coach at the right time in your life, and that could be a different coach at a different time in your life as well. And anyone that's been in fitness long enough, I think, kind of knows that it kind of comes and goes. And sometimes you end up being the coach and the influence to someone else,
yeah,
and it's kind of all that shared knowledge and shared enthusiasm um, that can really drive not just your results, but your relationship with fitness.
yeah. And I think it's just one of those things too, for me personally, I hate asking questions and bothering people. I'm very self-educated when it comes to everything I do. I always look it up. I buy books. I educate myself to the fullest. Like I've gone to school, science and nutrition. Like it's you kind of go down the rabbit hole. It's not just about lifting weights, but then you start wondering about nutrition, like you said.
Yeah,
And then eventually, you're meal prepping and you're doing macros and
yeah,
and everyone's asking you questions and you're kind of like, read this book, do this, do that. I might as
yeah,
well be,
yeah,
right? So,
yeah.
but I am always on the rabbit hole. There's always a new book to learn, a new
Yep.
movement to learn. So even
And
at 40,
that's why I only ever refer to fitness as a journey,
totally.
because there is no destination.
Yeah,
There's no end point. You're never going to get to a point where you're like, I'm fit enough or I'm strong enough.
never.
Yeah, it's always just changing, and that's fine. That's the beauty of it almost. You can go down all these rabbit holes and get really into one genre or the next,
Yeah,
and I don't really think any of it's bad. I think all of it is good and provides. If it's the influence that you need to get up off the couch and do something, then do
yeah.
it. And I don't know anyone that has stuck with like one genre their entire journey. And really, that's just what it's about, because you learn so many more lessons with a wider spread of knowledge.
Yeah.
Um, how would well, first, I guess let's back up. What is your goal for this year in fitness?
So, I know sometimes it's a bit hard to understand kind of the bulk and cut. Even though I'm not an athlete on stage, I still train like I
Mhm.
am, if that makes sense. I
Totally.
do follow a strict macros, yeah. So Basically, I shared it before and after of the last 10 years. I was so tiny. Like my arms were so
Yeah.
tiny. I was about 100 and less than 120 pounds. And I went through a bunch of cut and bulk phases, but my goal was to build as much muscle as I could eventually. So over the last 10 years, I have literally been focused on building muscle. But as you build muscle, you carry fat, you get uncomfortable, you go through a cutting cycle, and then you kind of start again. And that's kind of the process of building muscle. And when you're doing it naturally and you're a woman and you have all these hormones and everything else, it takes a long time. It takes a
Yep.
long time. And I hear women say, I don't want to lift weights and get bulky. Like, oh my God, it's
I know.
impossible unless you're
It's
like
it's
literally busting
my
ass and eating.
right up there with right up there with being annoyed with nutrition.
Yeah,
I get frustrated with people. I mean, in this case specifically, women, I guess, that are like,
yes,
I don't want to get too huge, and
yeah,
I'm like, darling, I've been trying my whole life to get huge,
I know.
and and all of my clients are in the same boat. You will not get huge
No,
unless you are going like just baby steps. Let's get you off the couch and get you moving and working well consistently before we worry about getting too big. It's not going to happen.
and I hear
Um,
all this want to be toned, and I say, toned is muscle, man. Like, if you want
yep,
to be toned,
absolutely.
go on muscle mass and cut so that we can see what we're working with, right? Or see the frame underneath.
Yeah,
Like triceps, biceps, all that definition, it only comes when you cut. Some people, are just natural and have a great physique and they can build muscle and stay lean. But for an example, I don't really share numbers too often, but 130 pounds is me lean, and I love that. That's a great, like a smaller look for me. But
yep,
I managed to get up to 135 with more muscle mass and lean, and that was great. But then I decided, hey, I'm gonna bulk. So I've been bulking for 6 months, clean bulk. But
yep,
like you probably don't even believe what I'm at right now. 148 pounds is what I hit, and I'm still in
wow,
the same size. So I kept it pretty lean, and I put
yep,
on 14 pounds. Probably 9 pounds of that is somewhere in the muscle, 8 pounds is somewhere in the muscle range. So I'm so stoked to cut.
yeah,
I'm in a cut right now, days in. So I'll do 16 weeks, and then my 135 pounds last year versus this year is going to be two different
yeah.
bodies. And that's why you really can't pay attention to the scale. No one would ever
No,
think I'm a buck 5'2" right now.
no,
Like I'm
you should
lean.
throw scales away.
I know. So it's good when you're cutting. But yeah, so I mean for me to lose 12-ish pounds, let's say in the next 16 weeks,
Yep,
most people are there's no way you could lose that. But until they see my frame then versus now, it
yeah.
doesn't make sense. So
So would usually I would uh, people's programs are kind of changing throughout their season based around racing. I deal
yes.
with a lot of racers. What is your schedule or fitness, this cut that you're doing, or any of the fitness stuff that you're doing? What is that kind of pivoting around? Are we trying to we know beach season's coming too, right? Like June, July's coming. We want to look good shirtless or in bathing suit. What is it for you? What does that pivot on?
So for me, I like building muscle. I like being freaking strong, man. I'm 5'2". I'm actually
Yep.
quite tiny in real life. When people meet me, they're like, "Whoa, I didn't think you'd be that small." And like muscle mass kind of makes you look bigger sometimes. And then when
Yep.
they meet you, what the hell? It's like an illusion. It's like an illusion muscle. But
That's right.
anyways, I need to be strong. I am on bikes between stunt bikes and dirt bikes like from May till late September every day. If I'm not on
Right.
my dirt bike coaching, I'm out on the street bikes practicing. And like I'm wheeling big street bikes. I'm learning on Harleys
Yep.
now. I'm on
Yeah.
supermotos. The amount of strength that takes for upper alone is insane.
Yep.
People don't even realize it's not effortless. It takes a lot.
Hmm.
So number one, being strong. Number two, building muscle mass to protect myself from injury. Dude, when I hit the ground, because I'm always hitting the ground, you guys have seen, I just hit the ground and I'm going right back
Yep.
up. It's like,
And that's
it's been very helpful.
yeah, that's something that probably what started me into coaching, I guess, is my passion for injury prevention, and the relationship between not just mobility, but strength and putting muscle on around those key
Yeah.
joints, especially with my racers, to protect your back, protect your knees, protect your hips, and protect your shoulders.
Yeah.
It's what got me through my previous career, but also like in dirt biking, especially hard enduro, the amount of falls and crashes that we take, you
Yeah.
can't survive that. Your career will be very short
Yeah.
if you don't take care of yourself.
Yeah.
And I want people. I've got a hashtag that says "riding when I'm 80" because I want to be 80 years old and still riding
Wow.
in some capacity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Um,
for me, like I said, if I can feel this good at 40, I literally feel just as good as I did at 20. It better.
yeah.
So like what's 60 like? We panic, we're getting older. But like I'm a prime example of an old lady just shredding. Like I'm not an old lady. You know what I'm saying? Like, these 20-year-old girls look at us like, God, you're like my mother's age. My son's 23, right? We're old to them.
You're right.
But, show like I'm still doing this sport 20 years later almost.
Yep.
I've had multiple injuries. I recover quick. I get back on the bike and I live a pretty decent, clean lifestyle. But, I have fun, I eat cake, I
Sure.
drink once in a while,
Yeah.
I'm human. I'm not strict with anything per se. I just kind of
Yeah.
like put my whole mainly first. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think
It's it
advice for
seems
someone
like
that,
it seems like that the fitness is just. I like to look at it as like fitness should be the same as brushing your teeth. It's
yes,
it's it's just something that you do
care
because
about yourself. You're number
it's
one.
good for you. Like it should be so, even if it's small, like you don't necessarily need an hour. You can get by with 30 minutes, 20 minutes even. Is You can get some people like, especially in those beginning years, 20 minutes. Maybe that's right after you brush your teeth, but just making it into an absolute pattern of your life pays off those dividends for the rest of your life.
I think of it as like an outer body experience. Like I got to take care of this body, and it's like
Yeah,
you don't think of it as you just think of it as a task for the day. Like I have to treat this body good, go, and it's like you praise yourself at the end of your session or whatever. You could have used many excuses, but at the end of the day, man, it's just so crazy to me that people treat their bodies like garbage
bodies like
cans, and
garbage.
but they
Yeah,
don't really like it doesn't hit home until you're ill
yep,
or until you're fucked up in the hospital or something has gone south and
yep.
we won't when I'm 60 and somebody is 60 that hasn't touched a weight in their life, you'll see, you'll see the
Oh,
difference.
totally. The relationship between one of the other um, pieces of science that really motivates me and keeps me passionate is the relationship between strength training and bone density,
Oh,
especially in women.
okay.
Um, I mean, this is a pretty broad stroke, but they say that after the age of 40 in women, they will lose a third of their bone density throughout the next like 15 to 20
Yeah.
years. Can you imagine having a third of the hardness of your bones and how, like, story that I've said numerous times, one that hits close to home for me, my own not mother-in-law, step grandmother, I guess. She was in her 80s and sitting in a chair and during like a Christmas holiday, and one of the family members, a younger person, went over to give her a hug in the chair, and her arm broke in
Yeah.
from a
Okay.
hug, you
It's like
know.
that.
And I'm like, I'm terrified of that. A good strong hug broke her humerus, and I was like, man, like bone density is real.
Oh my God,
Like you,
it's insane, like the loss, like it's
yeah,
absolutely insane. And it's even more like, with our hormones and birth controls and everything
yeah.
else, and
Um,
obviously having testosterone like men and all huge big overlook of the difference between men and women, but yeah.
yeah. Um, you you've had some injuries. Have you ever, or I guess, what would be your experience? It's not a question of whether you've used it. I guess it's how.
Yeah.
how has fitness helped you through like rehab from an injury?
Well, I'll say my two outlets in life, like to avoid choking people out, are riding bikes and fitness. So if I'm not on the bike and I'm injured, the second thing I look to right away is fitness. Now, you got a broken leg, well, you can still move upper. You
Yep,
know what I'm saying? You got a broken arm, you can still move lower. I've had both
totally.
situations. I had a crazy surgery on my arm. Like I had 2 plates, 12 screws, 74 staples, and a cast up to here. And I actually have a video years ago of me still doing all my exercise in the gym with a full, like this cast was stanky when I took it off.
Mhm.
But I did weights on this arm and, I did
Yep,
everything I could for every other body part. And then nutrition, obviously, I doubled up on all my nutrition. The thing is, like, your body needs so much more when it's recovering. And
yeah,
I think we lack that. Sit around, we don't do anything. You still need to move. You still need to do stuff if you can, even on crutches.
totally.
So yeah, for
There's
me, the only
always a worker.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm always
Um, so your arm, that was a pretty big deal.
yeah.
And then you've referenced some back issues.
Yeah, so I just annihilated my right foot and I was in a cast. So that one was a little bit hard, but I still managed to do a lot of upper and work the one leg. And then my back, like 7 years ago, I was going up a rock wall. Long story short, I fell back, landed on my tailbone, bike landed on me. That's initially where like I had a minor slip disc, and
Okay.
then it escalated from there, just muscle imbalances from having the fractured foot. And
Okay.
obviously not good, but continued powerlifting and doing like the big movements I shouldn't be doing, squats, deadlifts, while already having kind of a weak back. So
Mm.
um, they're still trying to figure it out. I've done CT scans. I'm in
What does
different
it,
forms of physio, long journey.
what do you see in the imagery, like MRIs or CT scans? Anything
My
go up?
my L4 and L5 both have a minor slippage disc,
Okay.
and then I have a impinged nerve root at my L5 S1.
Okay.
And actually, in like I have pretty chronic pain every day, which is another reason why I love working out. I don't feel any pain when I'm in the gym. Like I think endorphins, blood flow, sitting
Yeah,
around is worse for me personally. They've had
totally is.
me stop exercising to kind of see, but it made it worse. So, yeah, that's a big thing is like working through injury. I'm always in pain.
Yep.
I've been doing like and I'm at a pain zone right now. I know it's crazy. And they're doing shots and stuff in my back, but otherwise, that's just a prime example of me not having excuses. Like when you have pain, you're either going to sit or you're going to move, right? It's going to feel the exact same. So you're going to better your body, feed it the endorphins it needs, get stronger, build muscle, yada, yada, yada. Overcome your injury that way, even though it can take forever or just freaking rot in bed, you know?
Yeah.
There's two
Motion is
options.
lotion.
Motion is low.
Yeah. Motion is lotion. It's 100% true. Um, like the mobility piece and just I said this in my last episode with Thordy about all healing comes from blood flow.
Yeah.
In a way, your blood circulation is what's moving nutrients around your body and getting oxygen to your muscles and yada yada. To go and have an injury and then sit and do nothing and just rest it
Yeah.
is not ideal. You got to get that blood flowing one way or another. Yeah,
True. You lose it if you don't use it. And it's true. I mean, with muscle, yeah,
100%.
yeah. I mean, you can go a couple weeks, but you're gonna, when you go back to the gym in 2 weeks, you're gonna feel like those reps are so crazy.
Yeah.
And that's just a prime example of strength is in the moment.
Mm.
You don't own it for life. You gotta earn it every day, right?
Every day.
I can do no problem. If I take a week and I go back, I'm dying. Like it's crazy how much you can lose even in a week, right?
Absolutely. And I think that even more so, I mean, strength obviously really important with the use it or lose it mentality, which I truly believe in, but also um, talking about injury prevention, I always think about hopping, skipping, jumping, those kind of movements, especially as we age and we're not doing it, to be able to
Yeah.
jump down like in a box jump or just jump off your stairs
Functions
and land, skip,
everyday
like
life, right? Yeah.
skipping rope.
Yeah.
You know, if you think about, again, kind of referencing, not specific to dirt biking, but you picture someone that's aged, they're in their 60s or their 70s, and one of the most common injuries in that age group is either slipping in the bathtub or slipping on ice. And what are those positions that we right? So, you know, working that mobility piece and getting into those extended ranges of motion and doing strength training in the extended ranges of motion, which is truly what mobility training is.
Yeah.
That pays off those dividends of then, you know, you end up there accidentally because of the ice or in the tub. Hopefully your ligaments and your joints will be trained enough through your habit of mobility work that that is less of a problem when it happens. And it totally falls into the category of use it or lose it. You can't just ignore it, or it will end poorly.
Things for working out, you know, they progressively change with age. Like I said, in my 20s, it was like being in a bikini and being a young mom. And
Yeah.
my 30s kind of started to shift. And now in my 40s, I'm just like muscles, longevity, you know, like what can I do to be strong? What can I do to wake up feeling good, mobile? Like, okay, I do obviously care about looking good too. I want to look good. I think that's obviously a big thing, and being dedicated to something and pushing yourself all the time. And it shows a lot of dedication to me. It's super attractive even when I go in and I see, like, I go in on a, you know, Saturday night at 7 p.m. and the dudes, it's like full, and I'm like, I love this. These guys aren't going out and partying. They're like in the gym. They're in their 40s.
Get the pump on.
My first thought is like, man, this is attractive. These dads, I tell you. Yeah. But it's a great quality, hard to resist, right?
Absolutely.
So it's kind
of, how important is it for women in relationship to dirt biking to strength training?
Okay, so number one, you guys, I've been doing this 20 years almost, like I said. I have had tons of injuries. I have pushed my limits. I have overcome insane barriers throughout the course of the sport. I can promise you that the number one reason why I'm still riding and not in pain every day is my lifestyle choices over the last, I would say, at least over the last 15 years. I mean, nutrition plays a huge role, but think about functional movements, like I said, doing the same movements. You're picking up bikes on the trails. When I can assure you, some of these women are between 100 and 140 pounds. They're tiny and they're on full-size bikes. I see it at numerous clinics every year. I'm always going to preach just to the end of time, man. Just max out those weights. Progressive overload. Doesn't mean you have to do it all in a day. I'm not saying that. But from the age of 20 to 30, you can easily increase your weights in every muscle group you're doing over that lifespan. You're always getting better. Even if it's a pound, you're getting better. And that's one thing that benefited me the most, I would say, is just continuously pushing my body. Not to injury. There's a difference between like doing this intense hit and lifting weight and having crazy cortisol and all this shit. There's a whole nother side to it. Like, you just have a functional lifestyle. It can be, mine changes getting that. Mine changes when I go back into my ride season. I prefer like a full body or a 3-day. I can't be in the gym 5 days riding like I do working film, working full-time job. I have to improvise, right? So I've already got that good foundation, so I can cut back a bit, right? And then when the time comes, I increase.
Kind of get it in when you can, kind of thing, seasonally.
And you know, you're always active when you're out on bikes too. So, but that's definitely my tip to you ladies is just, you're not going to get bulky, I promise you. Even if you're small and you've got a certain amount of muscle mass on your frame, you know, and your body fat percentage is a bit on the lower side, you can still be petite, Pilates body forever. Okay, but it's muscle mass on your frame.
Absolutely.
So, and
that muscle mass to keep you healthy.
You gotta be able to put dudes out.
What would be, just without putting too much thought into it, what would be like your top 3 movements to help your dirt biking?
Pull-ups for sure, dudes. Okay, so pull-ups, they're really hard. I get it. You can do assisted. Start with a band. I think they even have like an assisted machine that has a bench. You can
Yep.
pull ups, you guys. Now, everybody wants to learn how to wheelie. The biggest muscle that I use when I'm wheeling that I feel that I can hardly get out of bed is my lats and my
Yep.
shoulders. You're literally compressing and pulling up as much as you don't think you are. My legs are dead to the world. My legs are actually doing all the crisscrossing while I'm in a wheelie, while my
Right.
upper body is keeping me stabilized. So
Hmm.
like my track, my shoulders, my lats, pull-ups number one. They're hard as shit. You're probably going to get one. 2 months later, you might get two. I got up to
Yep.
10 when I was lean. When I put 14 pounds on, I'm at like 6 and struggling.
Right.
So that 14 pounds is making a difference on my frame. So number one. Number two, RDL. I used to focus more on like heavy deadlifts, but back injury. So I'm doing like a lighter time under tension RDL, 40 pounds each hand, nothing crazy. You
Okay.
need strong glutes and legs. I
Hmm.
mean, obviously, lower body plays a big role, but so does upper body. You do a lot
Yep.
of work, and I don't see anybody talking about having a strong upper body. I think women stray away from it. They don't want like that ripped chest and big shoulders and ripped back, but like you need the strength and power in your back.
Yeah.
Carries your body.
Absolutely.
So number two, split squats. If you want to feel like dying every day and like punish yourself, split squats. They hurt.
Yes.
They annoy me. I hate them. But I always choose one or two exercises that I absolutely don't want to do,
Yep.
where they kind of leave me feeling like I want to vomit.
Yep.
Choose something hard, man. And obviously you can alternate between like a glute and a quad for that. So it's,
Yeah.
you can fluctuate, right?
Amazing.
So those are my,
Those are those are three great choices for sure.
thank you.
Um,
Just
okay.
bring back your red. My Lord. All right,
What would
Gregory,
be,
I feel for you.
yeah. Um, what, okay, we're gonna get personal here.
Yes.
What would be your take? Again, like I said, over half my clients are female.
Yeah.
Always have been. I attract a lot of females from a coaching perspective,
Yeah.
and because I think that, well, I think women work harder. I've said it before. Women work harder than men, um, and I love seeing it because it means they're out there getting after it, and they want to get over those hurdles and smash down those boundaries, which I love, and I love supporting it.
Yes.
I've dove into it. It would only make sense as me as a coach that I've dove into the unique pieces of training women. Um,
Yes.
but admittedly, I don't know everything. So I have my take on this question. But what would be your take on the relationship between performance, and that can
Mm-hmm.
be in the gym or on the bike,
Mm-hmm.
and your menstrual cycle?
Okay. So this is, we never touched base on this, but so I've been on birth control for 20 years. I wanted one baby and one baby. So I'm
Okay.
on the depot. It's worked very well for me, but it's a shot. A lot of women stray away from that because of weight gain, which once
Okay.
again, I'm in the gym, my nutrition's good. My hormones
Okay.
are very bad on this, which is why I'm still on it. And I'm nowhere near premenopause, and I honestly don't get a period, and I haven't for 20 years. So it's really hard for me. The only thing I can say is that 3 to 5 days mid-month, I'm more irritable. I have a bigger appetite. I want to put people in chokeholds. I'm a little more aggressive. Okay,
Yeah.
I got a little in me.
Okay.
Those are probably the days where I should be on the bike the most. Now, there are days that weights feel like death to me, and I've been doing the same weights every day. I'm going to take that as kind of a hormonal decrease, increase, but I don't have the same symptoms that everyone else would when they're physically menstruating.
Do you find that do you find that there's certain sections of your cycle where you can produce more power or perform higher than others? I
Yeah.
believe that's kind of what you just broad
Yeah.
stroked.
So it's hard. Like I said, I can't really put a date and a time on it, but for me personally, I feel pretty damn good 90% of the time. Like I feel pretty strong. And if I don't, I push myself past it. So it's really hard for me to answer that question on a level where if I wasn't on birth control,
Right.
a lot of women on IUDs and birth control are not getting their period anymore.
Right.
So it's a common thing. It's kind of split. But yeah, no, I don't know. I just feel like I'm pretty steady. I've been doing this a very long time, and I've had a very steady like routine.
Right.
So it's hard for me. Like I said, I have irritable days,
Yeah.
and I have crazy appetite where I'm like, I want to eat everything in sight. I'm gonna assume that's when.
Right.
And
I mean,
another thing I recently started noticing is my joints hurting a little more at certain times of the day. Like, your body has been put through some taxing
yep.
periods. So, this
Is like in relationship to menstrual cycle at different times, or kind of just randomly?
randomly, I think I'm honestly not going to even be in premenopause for another 10 years. Being athletic, no, seriously, being athletic and healthy pushes that off forever, I swear.
Totally does.
Like,
Absolutely. It goes back to speaking about muscle mass and bone density, and hormones plays a big role in that as well.
my mom was in her or something, she told me, 43 or 44. And like I said, she had a very unhealthy lifestyle, and it was completely
Yeah.
opposite what I am aiming for, right? So,
My 2 cents on it, for what it's worth, and this is coming from the research that I've done in support of my female clients. Typically, kind of scientifically speaking, you're going to perform the best or have the highest results
yeah.
at the very start of your period, of your cycle. Although there is some uncomfortable cramping at times, on paper, that's usually when you're going to lift the biggest numbers and run the fastest and move the best. And if you follow that around till about the halfway point or 3/4 point, that's
Yeah.
when the hormones are going to become slightly less balanced, and you're going to be dealing with that moodiness. But so your performance can and usually will drop in that luteal phase near the back end of it. But if anyone is watching this, they want more information, just send me a message and I'll send you documents of the studies that I'm referencing. But there's a lot I've played a bit with like nutrient supplements in relationship to that luteal phase and the moodiness that can happen, and the other symptoms in that latter half of the cycle before you come around again to the top, like to the clock comes back to the top.
Yeah.
So what I do with clients, it doesn't always work smoothly, but what we try to do is kind of even out that month. So if I'm working with a female client, the heavier stuff
Yes.
and the faster stuff, the higher performance stuff, I know that we're going to get the best results during that first quarter of the cycle. And then the second quarter into the mid is kind of your average. But I know that come that latter half or like the 3/4 mark, I change up the program altogether, and we'll be doing more. Maybe we'll do more mobility work. Maybe that'll be the time to get in the accessory work, some of the lighter stuff where the numbers and the performance piece doesn't really matter, but it kind of matters more from an overall health perspective. So that's how I manage a female's menstrual cycle.
Coaches, even female coaches, do not go to the extent of doing that, which is so great. Like, a lot of women will track their own cycle in an app or whatever. Nowadays, they have so many options. And I know women even at my gym that are the same, and they track everything, and you're right. And I think that's so great that you have figured that out. You studied it, you know your shit, especially having female clients and not pushing them and understanding, female, male. I don't think many coaches ever go to the extent of doing that. So I think that's great that you've there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, my next question to you after that was going to be, I got there before the question came up, but my next question was going to be, how should women kind of set their expectations around performance and training in relationship to their menstrual cycle. More of just a mindset of like, you know, you should know that there's going to be times when you feel fucking awesome and you're going to hit the big numbers or whatever that is. Maybe it's running, maybe it's lifting, or maybe it's racing or whatever. Like you're going to perform the best at certain times and then you're going to feel shitty at other times.
Yeah.
But we can do a little bit of nutrient supplement to kind of mitigate that a little bit. But mostly just be compassionate to yourself and understand that you're going to have good days and bad days because of that. And if I can get what's that?
Even outside of that, I know for me, like
Totally.
I do supplement in certain areas, and like if I don't take my vitamin D and my B12 regularly, I'm on edge too. Like
Yeah.
I don't know, just the vitamin D alone for me is such a mood booster every day, right?
Right.
I'm a pretty happy person, but if I'm feeling down, I usually look at how's my nutrition been for the week, because
Yeah.
sugar, other
Yep.
thing that makes me spazzy. I'm already like the Tasmanian devil, so it's like, yeah, but paying attention to supplementing. I try to stay away from as many supplements as I can. I use what I need, but like as far as like green powders and all that crap, I don't touch any of it.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that.
I can send you some documents that I have that reference the nutrient supplements around that the latter half of the cycle. It's some interesting reading, and it's helped. At least if I can get a female client to open up to me enough, like usually the first time I have an initial assessment with a female athlete, and I'm like, tell me about your menstrual cycle. You know, it's usually like, whoa, you know, but I'm serious about it, you know, and I'm serious about fitness and I'm serious about taking people to the highest levels that they can. So it only makes sense that I would dive into those things.
Absolutely.
And when I get a female client that is open enough to engage with me in those areas, we usually end up seeing some pretty cool results.
Yeah.
So, you know,
body. I mean, even if you're not going through that and you're kind of like me where I haven't had a period in 20 years, whatever, and you're just floating every day. You have to listen to your body. There's, like I said, my recovery, the biggest difference from my 20s, 30s, 40s is recovery. I used to just bounce back and go legs and hit them. I got to take time off. I have to recover. Things do start to slide a little bit, you know. But you have to listen to your body.
Yeah.
Are you pushing too hard that day? Are you know, trying to get through a cut too fast? Have reasonable expectations of yourself, like you said. That's why I set my frames instead of 10 weeks, 12 weeks. I go 16. I give myself grace. I'm always aiming for a goal. It's not going anywhere. So, you know what I'm saying?
Totally. Absolutely. And it's good. I mean, there's just so many, again, fitness is a journey. And whether you're doing bulking and cutting like you, or you're any of the other kind of modalities, they're all interesting. They all provide, they all elicit a response, which is what we're trying to do, and increase joint health, increase bone density, increase muscle mass, increase confidence and mindset. All those pieces play a role.
The external is a bonus, but the internal really is the external as well. You know, people always say you want to age great. It comes from health and fitness as well, right?
Absolutely. I'm 43, and
where's your wrinkles? What I mean.
What's that?
I said, where's your wrinkles? You don't got any either.
Oh, I got some here. It's okay. I've been through a lot, but I feel like I'm doing okay for 43, and I just hope that, like, whereas when I was in my 30s, it was like I'm a piece of shit because I can't lift that weight that I want to lift, right? That's a real thing, like almost depressed that you can't do what you want to do, and then like managing injuries and that whole piece and setbacks. But now that I'm into my 40s and I want to be, my whole goal is to be riding when I'm 80. So it's a different mindset, right? And I've changed those expectations, and those expectations are going to be different from person to person, man to woman. But I think it's important just to develop your own set of expectations that's reasonable.
Yeah, and it's a healthy, you know, as a young 20-year-old girl, 30-year-old, it's healthy to just want to look fit, look good. And then obviously as you age, things change and you realize, shit, man, looking good's one thing, but I need to feel good too, right? What's happening there?
This, that's nothing. um, so just I'm just being aware of the time here. Couple more questions because I don't want to take your whole night. What's the biggest lessons or takeaways that fitness has taught you over the years?
What has fitness taught me? What has fitness taught me? How to be jacked. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I think fitness has taught me a lot about forming a routine and, you know, sticking to a plan. And I think that's the one thing that I'm proud of every day is taking care of my body. And anybody will say, you know, we set these goals January 1st, you see it a lot. By mid-February, everyone's kind of like, fuck, this is way too hard.
Yeah.
So I think anybody should be really proud if they've kind of found a practice that fits into their everyday lifestyle, whether it even be 30 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Showing up for yourself is number one. You can't show up for everybody around you until you show up for yourself. And that's a big thing in my life is same with my coaching. If I can't do a good job and show up with a smile on my face and motivate the rest of you, I shouldn't be doing that, right? So it's all internal work, external at the end of the day. So I think that's the biggest thing is I've learned that, man, I can do tough shit and stick to a routine. And I told you at the beginning, like, if I have a goal and I want it, I'm getting it. Doesn't matter. I don't talk myself out of anything. I talk myself into it. And I think that's the vibe that's helped me get to where I am with all these weird things. Like, I want to learn how to stand on my seat and wheelie. And every single person around me, not even one person, is sitting there saying, yeah, that's possible. But in my little brain, I'm like, you wait, you see? And then I do it. And I think that's the same with fitness. It's like lifting weights. I don't obviously want to get injured at this age, so I don't push it too far. But I think just showing up for yourself every day and proving that you're worthy to yourself. Your fitness is number one, right? Your health is number one.
Love to hear it. Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, like last-ish question. What would you say to anyone out there, but specifically women, maybe more specifically younger women, who are looking to get into fitness or to use fitness to assist their dirt biking or just get into health and fitness at all? What would you say to them? Because it can be confusing. There's a ton of information out there, especially on social media. Some of it good, some of it not so good. But it also can be really intimidating.
Yes.
So confusing and intimidating is not a great place to start.
Yes.
So what would you say to someone that's looking to get into this journey?
So like you said in the beginning, just don't be hard on yourself. You know, you don't have to jump in and be an expert in everything you do. You don't have to understand compound, isolated movements, all that. Learn as you go, self-educate as you go. You have a lifetime to learn. It doesn't have to be done in a year. Think of this as longevity, right? You're not going to get fit in a year. You're constantly getting better every year. So time's going to pass anyway. So you're either going to do it or you're not. And that's kind of what I think about to myself. Time's going to pass and I'm either going to be right here next year or I'm going to be even better. 5%, I'll take it, right?
Yep.
So I think that's my advice. And you're right. Being online can be really crazy, especially the like influencer spotlight of fitness. It's so much different than dirt bike influencing.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
It's so bad, like with girls with like BBLs and tummy tucks and fake this and fake that, and they don't expose it, and they're eating 1,200 calories behind the screen, but preaching that they're eating 1,800. There's so much, and I can see between, but not everyone at 20 can, right? So that's why I post my little blurb every day of what I'm working out and doing, because believe it or not, I'm not a fitness coach, and I'm going to start passing you guys over to Thrash, Steve. I get a lot of people asking me, you know, if I have a fitness program. And so I just post what I do, because at the end of the day, I'm just a real person. There's nothing fancy, you guys. I wake up, I go to work, I eat good most of the time. I hit the gym on my way home. There's no secrets. I'm not taking supplements, and I'm able to maintain what I have at 40.
Yeah.
Anybody can do it. And I think it's just sticking to the program and being consistent with it over a long period of time, obviously. But
Hmm.
yeah, I think my tips to you girls is just don't get so confused about all of it. Just think of it as just eat good when you can, work out when you can, build a life from there.
Yeah.
Build a routine,
I,
right?
you just made me think of something as you said that, I found that when you go in, especially in like the big box store gyms, like the big kind of commercial gyms,
Yeah.
you can go in there and there can be some pretty, like from the surface, some pretty scary looking motherfuckers. But I've found in my experience, usually the scariest looking people are actually the ones that are going to reach out and help you the most.
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced that in your gyms?
Girls. I have two girls. I'm going to call them out. Well, Victoria and Roxy, I met at the gym. So I actually met like three girls that ride bikes that recognized me at my gym, came over, and Victoria was one of them. And she was like, "Oh, I follow you on socials," and kind of was like, "Yeah, I didn't really talk to you because you look like you have a resting bitch face." It's like, yeah, I have a hat on, I got headphones on, I'm doing my shit, I'm lifting weights, but for some reason, every single day at the gym, someone comes over and thinks I'm a trainer there, or they're like,
Right.
"Oh, arms look great. What do you eat?" And they always assume it's one thing. And then I ended up, headphones off, doing my weights, talking to
Yeah.
people. It's an everyday thing. My energy obviously is contagious, I think, in some ways. But I've met quite a bit of girls, like I said, that ride, and we've become besties. And even though we're not like pumping weights together, we're there together, or we're inspiring each other over the internet, or like, "Why aren't you at the gym today?" But like you said, like maybe I look like super like, I don't know if I'm in a tank and I'm like jacked that day or something,
Yeah.
and I look scarier than the sweetest person, right? And
Yeah.
then you get talking to know people, but also it's the free information when they come over, and every single day they're like, "What do you do here? Are you cutting? Are you bulking? Can you explain this?" Right? So you build and make so many friendships even inside the gym.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like a whole nother social circle
Yeah,
instead of going to like, out to regular social events. I don't even go
exactly.
to social events at all anymore, but um,
You and me both.
okay. Uh, anything else from your notes that we didn't touch on that you want to get across to anyone that's watching?
No, I think that's everything. I
Awesome.
think you have a great message, and I really appreciate what you're doing. And I know, like, we've tried to collab in the past, and I know that I've seen you train some pretty well-known athletes out there with your programs. I mean, maybe I should even try a program. I know I've been stubborn, and I'm like, I do me, got my own thing going on. But
Yeah.
maybe I should be vulnerable and try one of your programs and see how it goes. But I think like after hearing some of the things we went over, I'm pretty impressed with the fact that you really dig into um, the side of it for women and not just specifically men, because we are different. We're built different. We perform
Totally.
different.
Yep.
Our challenges are so yeah. I admire that about you, and I appreciate what you're doing for the sport and all these live podcasts you're doing with everybody, fitness influencers, dirt bike influencers. But yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, everybody should thank you,
Yeah.
and I think you're
I really appreciate that. I always say I'm not. Some people ask me like they're like, oh, you got to like make better reels or make better Instagram shit, and I'm like, nah, fuck that. Like I'm not looking to be an Instagram influencer. I'm
no.
a
I think that's
real
what I like
dude.
about
Like I'm a real dude that's
yeah,
been through real stuff, and I want to work with real people doing
yeah,
real shit.
yeah. I like
So I don't care if my followers don't grow as fast as they could from fancy videos,
yes.
but I want to do real work. Kind
That's
of
cool.
I'm not gonna fluff anybody with a bunch of bullshit movements
Yeah,
that look good on Instagram, right? I'm performance about like you said about one of the first gyms that you went to. It's about coming in and doing the fucking hard work is
yeah.
what it comes down to, and that's what I'm about, and not no matter who you are. Like I'm not looking to be like a social media influencer. I'm a real person, and I
Yeah,
like to be that way.
kind of like your passion obviously is riding, and you've kind of set this boundaries with helping men and women in the sport, right? We do kind of work out a little bit differently surrounding the sport, and longevity and muscle mass and all that plays a bigger role. Like you said, if you want to ride till you're 80, it's kind of a
Yep.
different genre of fitness, right? You
Yeah.
got to remain active. I like that about
Yeah.
you. That you're not like the influencer type. You're not looking for anything other than to help people genuinely. And I know I've talked to you for probably almost 2 years now, and we've gone
On
back
and
and
off.
forth. Yeah, but it's like you're the dude that people, I wish I had more friends closer to me that had that mindset as well. Like, and I don't know if you have a home gym there, if you're training from there, but just that real fucking hard ass approach, but with a smile on your face, right?
Yeah.
I could see that you enjoy coaching, but people always ask me, and I've done my schooling. I haven't passed any of my tests, and I don't want to. I got into like film, and I got so much going on.
Right.
And then I realized, man, it's a lot of work to do what you do. It's a lot of work. It takes up your
It's a ton of
entire
work.
day. Like, here's a program. You're answering questions and emails and dealing with people all day. I do it, and it's not
Yeah.
even my job. I just have a cart, and I'm like, what can I do? Or post a meal. I have 100 people asking, what sauce is
Right.
that?
Yeah.
Like, everything is time consuming. So, yeah, I love what you're doing.
There you go, man. I can't express how much I appreciate you saying that. Thank you. Um,
Yeah.
I really can't. I'm going to, as we wrap this up, when this series is over for the winter, or I don't know how much longer it's going to go, but this is episode 6, and I'm going to compile kind of all the answers I got to all the questions and do a post kind of reflecting on all that information. So I really just thank you for taking that time to share your journey and share your perspective with me and everyone that's going to watch this. Just quickly, what's next on the calendar for you? What's coming up? Anything big?
Yeah, so I know I don't talk a lot about my film life, but I just got shutted to a new show. So I'm just doing little bits of work here and there. But yeah, it's been great. And then clinics. So I'm not doing the usual clinics. I'm actually like traveling, doing some weird stuff in like San Francisco and other
Yep.
places for like club events this year.
Mhm.
I'm changing my style. So yeah, that's pretty much it. More
Awesome.
film gigs. Super stoked. And then I'm going to be stunting a Harley soon. Watch out.
Yeah, I saw the little.
Sure.
That's going to be sick. Can't wait. Um,
What about
that's
you?
awesome. Well, I can't wait. Sorry.
What about you?
Oh,
Are you in?
what is next? Um, I'm taking a little break right now. Actually, I'm in a like. It was a really busy. I'm just kind of ending my really busy season.
Yeah.
Because typically, most of my clients, I run 2 packages. One, my kind of bread and butter is my one-on-one coaching. But typically, what happens there is the race season ends in like October. So come November, we're the farthest away from the race season starting that you can be.
Yeah.
So I get a lot of new clients in November, and we work like usually November, December, January, February. So I'm kind of at the end of my busy one-on-one season. And it's been an awesome season. I got a racer through the Dakar Rally this year, which was huge. Willem Avenant. I've had athletes, not this year, but go through Red Bull Maniacs, Erzberg Rodeo, GNCC racing, Baja 1000, like all the biggest races in the world. I've trained athletes to go through. And that usually happens at like this time of year. So it's been a really busy year for me, but I also run on the same app because I deliver all my workouts on an app, on the Train Heroic app, so people can get them virtually everywhere. And so I can have my one-on-one clients kind of operating at that higher tier in athletics on the app, but also on the app, I run my monthly subscription-based workouts, and I publish a new workout at the start of each month. It's written by me specifically for dirt bikers, but it's not individualized to any person or like whatever their needs are, or potentially like what equipment they have available to them. It's a dirt bike specific, but kind of broad stroke from a person perspective. So I run that all year long. You can find them both on the Train Heroic app, or just send me a DM and I'll send you the link. So either way, it's been a busy season and I'm just kind of ending it. So I'm on a bit of a Me time. Actually, no. Fuck. I say that. I I've got about 1 week.
I'm hearing
Like my
new
down my was that?
that I'm hearing a bit of a Newfie accent over there. How far on the?
Well, I am from Nova Scotia.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
East Coaster.
okay.
Um,
Right?
so every year, for the month of February. Well, so when I talk about my downtime,
Yeah.
that's about 1 week long. Is my is my rest. So starting February 1st, I run a segment called Burning the Coal, which is really hard. Burning the Coal for me, I've done every year for the month of February. I pick basically like one or two movements to do as a workout, and I set a fairly aggressive goal, and I do it every single day for 28 days straight. So, for example, last year, every day for the month of February, I was doing a cold plunge in the ocean
Okay,
and
yeah.
150 kettlebell snatches a day for 28 days. This year, actually, I haven't even announced it yet. I'm going to announce it right now, live.
Do it.
Burning the
If
cold this
it's water,
year. What's that?
I said if it includes water, I'm out. But if it's on land, I'm there.
Okay. So this year's Burning the Cold for me is, um, and this is only a personal thing. I need to caveat that it's not for my clients or for anyone else. This is a personal kind of beating on myself.
Coffee.
Um, I'm going to attempt to do a minimum of 10,000 wall balls in 28 days.
How many? I don't even want to do the division there, but
That's
it's not very appealing.
357 a day.
Can you take like a before and after photo of your arms?
Sure. I'll send it to you. I did it because I'm always kind of playing with what I'm going to do for Burning the Coal.
Yeah.
The other day I wanted to see how many wall balls I could do in an hour. So I did 600.
Oh my God, that's insane. But this is what I talked about with split squats. Like, this is stuff we hate. But if you don't constantly push yourself to something where you're like, you don't even look forward to it, you got to have something every day that you don't want to do. You don't look forward to
Yeah,
it. You're like, fuck, can we get this with?
exactly.
And then
And
that's
that
pushing
is
yourself.
that's exactly the point of Burning the Coal. Is what I tell people, and I'll make a post about it this week because it's coming up on Saturday, is February 1st.
Sweet.
It's about picking something that is challenging but not impossible
Yeah.
that you do every fucking day, no matter what.
Yeah.
So I'm going to aim for 400 wall balls a day. And then near the end, I'll have some wiggle room to maybe drop it down and still reach 10,000. But yeah, every year I run Burning the Coal in February. It's just something for me
Yeah.
that I just test my kind of mental fortitude. Oh, and they have to be outside.
Oh God.
So
Freezing.
no matter what the weather, storms. Last year I was doing my cold plunges in the ocean in like hurricanes and snowstorms. So there'll be more of that. This year's going to be
right. It's hard. We
exactly
don't have mental toughness unless we're putting ourselves in
right.
very uncomfortable positions all the time, which
It's
many people
always
don't.
it's testing consistency and discipline is what it is.
Absolutely.
And I like to show people that it doesn't need to be complicated. That's why I pick one movement.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be complicated, but it needs to be consistent and challenge your discipline. So if you're watching this and you want to do something for the month of February, pick one movement and pick a number that's probably achievable but aggressive, and go for it. So for me, that's 10,000 wall balls.
8,000 wall balls, you guys. No, 10,000.
10,000.
I like that. I mean, things seem unrealistic sometimes. Like I said, some of the goals I've set for myself. I'm like, you just watch me, and I will study shit. Like, I don't even post. When I'm out doing this stuff, all the hours I spend like YouTubing things or looking into things or asking people questions, and nobody sees any of that. They just see kind of the progress or what you post.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that. That's awesome. You set
So
a hard goal.
that's what's coming up for me. Don't get me wrong. When I did just 600 in an hour the other day, it fucking ruined me. Um, but it,
You know, we're lucky 28 days. It is a short month.
yeah. So yeah, if I can do 600 an hour, hopefully I can do 400 every day for 28 days.
Yeah, that's not so bad then. 400. You've already worked it
I don't
out.
think so. Yeah.
No, you'll fine.
It's just when you throw in the outside element to doing it in the snow and storms and stuff. But that's what it's about. It's just testing discipline.
Yep. Discipline, that's one thing. Yeah, we didn't, that's a word I didn't use is discipline, which is, yeah, being
Discipline is
hard.
absolutely. I have completely gotten away from using the word motivation. I don't think I think motivation as a word should be thrown in the garbage. And
Totally. Yeah.
it's discipline. It's the same discipline as I referenced earlier of brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
You know, it's just what you do no matter what, right?
Person I'm
So,
beating up is my when I do it, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
That's about it. We got to wrap this up. Thank you.
Yeah.
Reach out anytime.
And all this.
If anyone that's watching this wants to know more about fitness or health, nutrition, menstrual cycles, or any of that stuff, send me a message or send Crystal a message. She's got a ton of information as well. And that's it. Peace.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks. Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye. You too.
Bye.